let's end one story. Where I saw whatever I saw at the store was at the top of the belly room. Mitzi was in her chair in the main room, and I didn't want to walk past her, so I stood by the door watching whoever was on stage, and I felt an energy over my right shoulder. And I kept focusing on the comic, but something was hitting my eyes. Something was making that light not blink, but like somebody was standing in front of it. And when I finally did decide to look up, it was like the person, it was like Kinison. It looked like a Kinison type. Took his jacket, spun it like a cape, and walked into the belly room. And I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Whatever I felt. And I could feel his cold air, whatever. And that was it. That was my only ghostly experience at the thing.
Shit get crucial.
I think it's over though.
He say hungry, hungry, bacon, bacon.
And you say it's called Stranger, right?
Oh, word.
All right,
I'm
Stranger.
hungry, hungry. I need some bacon.
You really saw ghosts?
2 times. Me and Johnny Sanchez saw at the same time a ghost.
Where did you see your ghost?
What do you mean? It's only one.
No,
there's only one ghost. There's only one ghost there, bro.
The belly room.
And his name is Gus. Do you know that?
Is that his name?
That's his name, bro. Gus, dude. I've seen Gus twice, bro.
Now, where did you see Gus?
The first time I saw Gus was Johnny Sanchez. You know that little Latino guy?
Yes, absolutely.
You know, he goes, "Hey, bro." I go, "What's up?" Let's do a gig in Bakersfield. So back in the day, I had this truck with no window. The windows were blasted open. I had no money. So I parked my truck at the Comedy Store. He takes his car. We drive to Bakersfield. We do a show. On the way back, it's like 3 a.m. now. But he drops me off at my car. We're standing in the parking lot, just talking about the night or whatnot. And we both look up at that top window, and we see a face, glowing, no eyes, no features, wearing a top hat, and 2 hands against the window, looking down on us. And we look at the thing, we look at each other again, and we look back up, it's gone. And we believed that to be Gus, my friend.
That was the first time. When was the second time?
I was playing the piano at 4 a.m.
In the main room?
Yeah. Why are you laughing, dude?
I haven't really heard anyone say that before.
In the main room bathroom?
How many people can say they played the Comedy Store piano at 4 a.m?
I played it.
Yeah.
In the back, that bathroom, that piano.
Yeah, that piano back there.
Okay.
Yeah. But back then, it wasn't in back there. It was on the side of the stage.
On the side of the stage.
Right. So it's completely dark, right? And I'm playing my own improvised little, Korean lullaby. Tang ding, tang ding, tang ding, dong, ding. Dang, dang, ding, dang, ding, dong, ding, dang. Stuff like that. And I look to my right, and I see a yellow suit with a top hat, but from far away. You know where the entrance is? I see it coming toward me. I run out that back door, to the hallway.
Yeah.
And I come back in, it's gone. And that I believe that to be my second encounter with Gus.
Okay, so if it ain't crazy already, we got a wicked burial ground underneath the fucking store. You got Gus, the hitman, still fucking running around there with his Tommy gun. Fucking all type of crazy shit, right? Well, let's get into this.
Now, I had one encounter, but it wasn't with Gus.
Who is it?
I thought it was Sam Kinison.
It's so funny that you say that, because once you say this, what you're saying, I'm going to tell you something about Sam and Gus. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, tell me what.
Well, Carl LeBeau. You know Carl LeBeau?
Yes, sir.
Carl LeBeau and Sam Kinison were best friends. In fact, when Sam Kinison died, Carl LeBeau held his body. Did you know that?
As he was saying, no, it's not my time to go.
Yeah, that whole thing. Don't make me cry right now.
No, I know.
Because you almost made me cry just now.
It's sad.
Don't do that, okay? One time when Carl LeBeau and Sam Kinison moved to LA from Houston, they snuck into the store to sleep because they were poor, right?
Right.
And they slept on the main room stage. He was telling me a story how when him and Sam Kinison moved here from Houston, they would sleep in the main room on the stage. And one night, Carl and Sam were sleeping, and Carl LeBeau he passed a couple of months ago. God bless him.
I know. All right.
And LeBeau tells a story where he wakes up and he sees Sam Kinison being levitated by his foot, and Carl was awoken to Sam Kinison levitating upside down from the stage, and he's like 3 feet off the fucking.
But Kinison's asleep still.
Yeah, right. And Carl goes, "What? You know how big Sam is, right?" And then he was dropped on his back, but he was definitely like 4 feet up from the stage, and they believed that it was Gus that was doing that. Gus apparently was a bodyguard or a doorman back when it was Ciro's, and he was assassinated there.
Rest in peace to Carl LeBeau. What we're about to check out now is an interview from a podcast called Paranormal Karen. Please subscribe there if you're interested in that type of stuff. And this is only scratching the surface of what we're about to hear about the Comedy Store. Fasten their goddamn seatbelt.
Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, and did I mention she's funny too? Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
So now I'm with Carl LeBeau and...
Same with the ghost stories and the same with,
right.
There's the bad entities and then there's the friendly entities and all those things. And I've seen both in my life of those experiences.
Do tell.
Yeah, so...
Okay, so you've seen both, good and bad,
yes.
and you've had a near-death experience. I remember
exactly,
that.
Yes,
all right,
yes, we shared that a
start.
long time
I'm not
ago.
even going to interrupt.
Yeah. Well, the Comedy Store was a magical place as a young comedian. You know, I was 20, 21 when I first got there, and my job I was a doorman. So Blake Clark, who I adore, this gentleman, you know, when he served in the armed forces, he had men in Vietnam, and he was in charge of them. He had a platoon. And he has stories of being chased by the Viet Cong up a mountain, and a helicopter come down to save them from this gang that's following them, shooting at them as they climbed up a mountain. And the helicopter starts to take off, and he says, "No, you got to get us, or we're dead." The guy goes, "I got to get out of here. They're right behind you." He goes, "If you don't get us, I'm going to blow you out of the sky." And the guy came down and he got all of his men on, and they got out. So that's the kind of person he is.
Yeah.
So when he's training me, one night he and I, he's showing me how to shut the doors and lock the doors in the main room while the original room is still going on. It's still happening there. So the main room didn't show.
And for people that don't know, there's 3 rooms in there.
3 rooms in the Comedy
original,
Store.
2
The
downstairs,
main room is
1
a huge room that used to be a part of Ciro's, and it's like a 500-seat room. It's like a Vegas room. It's very big and huge stage, huge backstage area that I helped build back in 80.
Wow.
So my first job there was helping build the green room back there and the mirrors and all that other stuff. And that's when I heard stories of some of the offs. They shot people and killed them back then when the mob owned it. They took them to those places and they found bones in the walls and all this other great stuff that you hear about.
And I gotta say this, like, when they uncover stuff like this, they think back then, and I know this wasn't happening so long ago, but I'm saying like back then when they uncover shit that got dead bones everywhere and skulls, they think, damn, society must have been fucked up or some shit like that. This must have been the norm. No, society was not all like that. It was just fucked up people doing that, and they had to hide bodies and all type of shit, like how the mob do when they kill people. They gotta hide the body somewhere. So you liken this to like the modern day savagery, and nowadays it's just more acceptable. But as these stories go on and as we get to some more of these parts, you're gonna see that it wasn't just mafia shit going on in this bitch. Alright? Keep that seatbelt on.
So Blake and I were closing the room one night, and out of nowhere he goes, "You know this place is haunted?" I said, "No." He goes, one night, and he tells me one of those stories where the goosebumps just, because it's a man's man telling me this story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm a kid, and he's got so much life experience in his belt, and he chills me to the bone by he's starting to lock the room, and this entity shows itself in the middle of the main room. And he said it was like a white ghost figure where he could kind of see it, but he couldn't. And he didn't know what it was, and it had its back to him, and it turned around and went, and gave him the ugliest face with the biggest teeth and started after him. And he ran down that long hallway that joins the two rooms together, burst out of the door and ran into the street and wouldn't go back to lock the club up. Didn't know what to do.
Wow.
Because this thing followed it out and dissipated right out the middle of the street.
Wow.
And he's not a liar, and he's not that kind of guy who just would tell a story to scare a guy, you know.
He was on,
But it chilled us.
if anybody look him up, because you'll recognize his voice mostly and see him on TV shows.
Oh, yeah. He's in a lot of Adam
not
Sandler
a-
movies.
Yeah, he's not a lightweight.
No, not at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
so
so-
that was the introduction to the fact that the store was haunted.
This month, Friday nights just got a little creepier on the Sunset Strip. The Comedy Store has been long renowned as one of the most haunted places in Hollywood. And now you can get a behind-the-scenes look at all the creepy stuff that happens here when the lights go out. Hear strange stories from the staff and our legendary comics of Hauntings by Gus and the Lady in White.
Maybe a round of applause so we can get Mr. Blake Clark up tonight to tell the world wicked stories. Blake, where are you? He's your Jesus Christ tonight. Good God. Thank you, Mitzi. I never believed in ghosts. You know, people would tell me stories like, yeah, that's interesting, or what, that's scary. I never believed it. And then I started working here, and shit would happen. For some reason, Thursday nights were always I locked the place up. So I worked here for 2 years and 8 months, from August of 1980 to May of 1983, which is before some of you were even born. But I was the last person I locked up. I don't remember when Joey Gaynor ever did it. Maybe in his dreams he locked the place up. But I never saw him here after 2 o'clock. So I tried to get everybody out, which was usually done pretty well by Mooney. He was most of the audience. And then I'd get the people who work here out. Some of them weren't too easy. I don't remember all their names. I'm an old fuck. I'm about 8 minutes older than dirt, so I don't remember all their names. There's one guy in particular, it was always tough to get him out. And he was with us with me when that gate thing happened, where the thing came all the way out and swung back and forth. And then there was one night, okay. First of all, I was always reluctant to talk to other people about it because they would just, oh, you're crazy, or you're just making this stuff up. And so I would not mention most of the stuff to other people. There's a guy here named Harris Pete, who was the doorman when I started working here. And Harris is wonderful, as nice a man, as wonderful a guy as I've ever known. After you get to know him, but he's one of those guys that puts up a tough exterior. It's like 8 months before he'd even talk to me. I was the back door guy. And he would, I'd come up and go, hey. And he'd go, why are you bothering me? So I'd slink back to my back door place. So I got to know him, and we became friends, and we actually started doing stuff together. And then one night with the stool, except it was over here, this stage was totally different then. It was square, and there was no lights, and there was just a curtain that came back here. And the stool was here, and I was coming in from the back there. And I had to do a physical check of the place to make sure that there were no bums. I know, they're homeless, okay? They're homeless people. No, they were fucking bums, okay? These were fucking bums that they were coming in here and sleeping in here and then setting off the motion detector and wake them. Then they'd call me and wake my ass up at 4 o'clock in the morning and make me come back here and turn all the shit off because I had all the keys. Get quiet! Wake his ass up! So I had to do a physical check in the place. So I was walking, and I would lock it up in increments. I'd lock up the top and the belly room, the offices where Michael Becker saw the old guy. And there's windows up here. I don't know if you can see them. But there used to be windows up there where they could look out of the windows and look down here into this showroom, because this was a showroom for Ciro's, but it was run by the wise guys. And I'm pretty sure there was somebody whacked in this back dressing room back here. A lot of people have died in this comedy store. A lot of fucking people. Myself, many times. A lot of deaths went on here. And we used to kid Gaynor, you know, the ghosts were telling. Quit the business. That was it. But the night that I was standing right there, and he was standing over there, and the ashtray came from way over here, and of course they couldn't, back then, the technology of 1987, they couldn't show you. The thing just went and shattered against the wall over there. And I was disappointed that it didn't actually hit Gaynor. So I'm standing over there, and he said, "Did you throw that?" And I went, "Hey, if I could fucking throw something like that, I'd be pitching for the Dodgers. I wouldn't be here working the door." For me, it was that thing when I was down there in the dungeon. I said, "That's it, I'm out of here." Sometimes when they change stuff around, the ghosts or whatever just leave. Or they get confused, or what. And I used to get pissed off. Because, you know, I had to deal with the audience, I had to deal with the comics, I had to move their cars. You know, I was just a doorman for a long time. So I was going up to close up the belly room, and the door started slamming. It was a wooden door, then now it's a glass door. And I'm walking up the stairs, and I stopped and went, "Hey! I got enough shit from live people! I don't need it from dead people!" And stopped.
Now this the guy from all the Adam Sandler movies, all type of shit like that. And from what Carl LeBeau says, he's solid or whatever. He's a man's man. So I don't know, pretty believable to them. Now them switching around the objects to confuse the ghost or the spirits or whatever, that's pretty interesting. You know, it's kind of like when witches do rituals and shit like that, gotta be at certain coordinates. It's gotta be right where the festering energy is at. And if you're wondering why I'm bringing up rituals, just keep that fucking seatbelt on.
And then Kinison and I were, you know, buddies. We hang there every night. We were doormen. And Sam had a lot of experiences. He actually exorcised several people in life because he was a minister for 7 years, but his father was his whole life. So he was raised in church and had a lot of supernatural experiences growing up. And he had a ghost story that was scary too, where he ran away from home at 16. He was out on the streets for about 2 days walking somewhere and got on a dirt road out in the countryside somewhere.
Because he was from Texas?
He ran away from when his parents lived in Tulsa.
Okay.
And
which you could get lost at walking.
Yeah, well, he might have hitchhiked and got to somewhere else. He was on his way to Norfolk, Virginia. Is where he ended up. But he's on a country road. The sun's going down. He's tired. He's beat up. And he sees one of those little small churches. Well, he's comfortable. He lived in a church for many years. So that's where he's comfortable. So he breaks into the church. It's one of those 15 pew churches, very small, just the front up there and then 15 pews and a door. And it's the little white one, you know, out in the dirt road.
Like in that TV show Preacher.
No parking lot, you park on the grass. Right. Exactly. So he lays in the front pew and he puts his little bag underneath his head and he goes to sleep. Now he's 16. And he hears the door, which is locked. He hears the handle on the door. So now the moon's coming through one of the windows. It's dark. He gets up and he ignores it. Okay, it was just my imagination as I was going to sleep. So he lays back down. Then he hears footsteps coming from the door that's closed, and he goes, hello, hi, my name's Sam, and I broke in to sleep. I just broke in here to sleep. That's all. I just want to sleep. And the footsteps stop, and nothing. And he looks up, and he doesn't see a thing. So he's going, that's my imagination. He lays back down. Now the footsteps are just at his feet. 1, 2, 3 footsteps, and it grabs him by the ankle and lifts him in the air to where he's screaming and his arms are flailing. He can't even touch the ground. This thing's got him up that high, and he's screaming. And this thing drops him. He grabs his bag and he runs out and bursts through that door. And he said he ran till he thought his heart was going to explode. And it had him. And he woke up the next day underneath the tree and his ankle hurt. And he pulled his pants leg up and he had a 3-pronged bruise all the way around the middle of his calf muscle. And he had big calf muscles. This thing was huge, but it had 4 fingers. 3 grabbed him on one side, and threw him around. So, and whenever he told the story, he got his chills too. So it's one thing for someone to make up a story.
Did he have a theory on that as for why?
No, he never did. But I think it's because he's always been connected somehow with that kind of stuff, like open to it, because he had seen it so much as a young kid, and then he ended up marrying over 100 couples. He's been to so many people's deaths. This will lead to the ghost story that I'm going to tell you, because this is pretty interesting. But he and I got into a 2-year thing in LA as young doormen. We got into a 2-year thing where we decided to do mushrooms and go to the depths of ourselves and open up and find this freedom we were both searching for as young guys. Now, I was 21 or 22. Sam was 5 years older. So we did it one night. We didn't eat for 4 days. Then we did mushrooms, and then we did a 9-hour walk. And in that 9-hour walk, Sam knew exactly what he wanted to experience and told me before we did the walk. He goes, we're going to go walk into the 7 heavens. We're going to do this. We're going to be this. We're going to see this. That's what he wanted to do. And never been there. He just knew about it. So that was our exploration. We ended up on the top of Lookout Mountain in LA that looks out over the Hollywood Bowl and all that stuff. And we laid down, and he said, now we're going to leave our bodies. And we laid down and looked up at the stars, and the next thing I know, we were out there. We weren't a body. Our bodies were laying down, and that's where I ended up with a bit later saying, if they would have found us, they would have said these guys are dead because we weren't there. But we were having an out-of-body, and we saw everything change. We saw history. We saw LA go prehistoric, and we saw it go to the future.
Wow.
But when we got back, and we didn't talk about when we were seeing it, and when we were communicating through the mind. It was unspoken, but we heard each other. But when we got back, and the next day we were talking about this experience, I go, did you see the city change? Everything, yes, I did. We saw the same things, and we're able to talk about it from different points of view.
Confirmation.
Exactly, so that confirmation. So one night, we were dormant at the Comedy Store. We have all these experiences under our belt, and we're in the store, and they did the 10th anniversary of the Comedy Store. And Buddy Rich played drums that night, and Robin Williams and Richard Pryor performed, and we were the doormen in that room that night. So it was historic. We got to see such a phenomenal celebration of 10 years of the Comedy Store and all these great acts. After the show, we had to clean up, and all we could do was buzz about what we just seen that night. One day, this could be us. We could be performing on stage and people show up to see us, and all those things that inspire you. And so there's about 5 of us in the room, and Sam out of nowhere goes, watch this. And he went up on stage because we had seen some ghostly things at that time in that main room especially, and heard a lot of stories. And Sam walked up on stage. There's no one working the lights. There's one single light from the light spot up in the main room. It goes straight down to the stage, just the one big spotlight. So Sam walks up, all the lights are on, there's no sound crew there, there's nobody in the light box because you have to go up a staircase, all this other stuff. And Sam looks at this in the room, and he just kind of says it to the room. He goes, I bet all the ghosts in this room enjoy tonight because it was about the 30s, was what the pretense of the night was about.
So it would be there.
Yeah, a lot of sketches about the 30s and 40s. Yeah. He goes, I bet you really, because that show was monumentous for performers and young comics. So we know it had to affect you. With that, boom, the lights in the whole building go out.
Wow.
In the main room. And then the spotlight goes on Sam. Pop! On Sam. And we all went, whoa! Because we know there's no one there to do that. There is no way you can control anything from downstairs.
Wow.
It's all upstairs. And you can't turn off the room lights, the whole room lights from upstairs. So Sam goes, okay, and starts to walk off, and the light bent and followed him.
Whoa.
To the corner of the stage, and right, he goes, guys, let's get the fuck out of here. And as soon as he said that light went out, and all of us felt a cold rush come through our bodies. And here is a bunch of grown men, here's a bunch of grown men crawling, 5 of us crawled on the floor. It took us 5 minutes to get out of that room.
Wow.
And run down that same hallway that Blake ran down to go out the door and talk about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sam Kinison, basically a mind freak. He's basically performing black magic at the damn Comedy Store. And you know, all these are reputable people and shit. And skeptical people say this shit does not exist. Like, they will look at you like you're a moron if you believe this shit. You can show people clips all day of them admitting to being Satanists and all type of shit, and still no, it doesn't exist. They're not. They clearly tell you they are. The devil's biggest trick ain't convincing people he don't exist. Nowadays, the devil's biggest trick is, I'm gonna tell you I exist and you still won't believe me because my first biggest trick worked so good on you.
What's in the dressing room? I don't know. I think right now there's nothing. There used to be, I don't know if there still is, there used to be like a closet. And you could open the closet and there was a hole that went down, as most holes do. But it went down deep, and there was a stream running under the Comedy Store. I don't know, it's odd.
Now, if you listen real good, you can hear a person in the crowd whisper Epstein.
Under the Comedy Store.
Now, this doesn't mean shit because there's a random person in the crowd that tied the two situations together and said, oh, hole there? Yeah, that's how they did Epstein, you know, whatever. It's all entertainment. But that is very interesting considering all the stories we've heard so far. And we didn't even get into the crazy shit yet.
And I thought it was like, you know, Amityville Horror. I went, holy shit, close that door back. Oh man, that shit will come out of there in one spot.
So that was one of many stories that ended up happening to where the ghost started following Sam. As Sam was becoming popular, Blake Clark told me a scary story one day. He said he's closing the main room, and he heard in the other room, ladies and gentlemen, Sam Kinison. And right behind him, he heard a voice go, he's on. He's on.
EVP, yeah.
Scary shit.
Let me find out that was a fucking ghost EVP warning us that Epstein was doing that shit there. All right, let me chill, but all things are possible.
Well, you know what? I mean, I would guess that Sam was haunted anyways.
Yeah, well, I think he freed the room one night.
Oh, so he crossed everybody over?
He crossed them over one night, and this was like 2 years later. Some life experience had come into him, and he went on stage and he said, you can go now.
So basically, he's freeing demons from this realm and freeing souls, helping them cross over in the underrealm, like Showface helped DMX and Soulja Slim and all of them.
I have the power to tell you to move on.
Wow.
And it stopped for us. I didn't hear any more ghost stories there. But Sam felt, because everyone's telling the ghosts are talking about you, the ghosts are, and we had a lot of other experiences that we're not getting to because of time.
Right.
But it was those things that I saw him control it. So I could understand why he maybe was able earlier in his life to help somebody out who felt that they were possessed and things like that.
Right.
Because he had that gift of knowing the right thing to say.
And I know you got to go. So last question real quick. So after Sam passed, you must have had an experience where you knew he was there.
Yes, I did. When he died, I was holding him, and he went through me. And I met someone a day later that came over to the house for the family, and one of them said, "Why don't you get a massage?" This person's a massage therapist because you've had so much, you've been through so much stress. Why don't you get a massage? And I was so tired, I needed to lay down anyway. And I laid down, and the guy that was started to massage me stopped and went, you went with him, didn't you? And I said, what? He goes, you went with Sam when he went through you. You're not back yet. So it was really weird because later on I found out Sam did some horrible things to me and in my life. I ended up finding out a lot of things that I didn't think he was capable of doing to me. I know he did it to other people, but he did do it to me too. And one of the things that I learned was letting those things go, because I was carrying anger for something I had no control over.
Right.
And I think in life we give our love, and that's all you can do. What people do to you has nothing to do with you.
Right.
So I think that lesson was from him because I saw him do it to the spirits. They tortured him. He went into Satanism for a little while to figure out what it was, and that was a scary time as a friend to see a friend dig in because he had been from the Bible side of it for so long.
Wow. I thought celebrities didn't do Satanism and shit like that. I thought I was a fucking idiot. I thought I was a fucking conspiracy freak. Oh, but no, here goes a celebrity admitting he had a friend that's not just a fucking friend. This is Sam Kinison. Fucking comedy god. Is a Satanist. He got stories of the guy fucking levitating, fucking doing all type of shit. And y'all still gonna say, yeah, right. Did you hear this shit? Nope. Didn't hear it. Bullshit. Yeah, it's all bullshit, huh? This is all entertainment, though.
So we're talking Ghosts or Ghosts of the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
And I don't know Joey Gaynor, or I haven't seen him in a long time. He has the best stories.
He has lots of them, yeah.
That
awesome.
where he was.
I'll give you his number if you want. Or something.
Yes, he was in the main room.
He'll be happy somebody's calling him. So. Yeah. Might be a gig. Yeah.
He was in the main room and he got up and he turned around and all the chairs were up on the table.
Like on a big pyramid there, like in a middle. He'll have to tell you that. It's his story.
Oh,
so yeah.
God. All right. So what do you have a ghost?
Well, I was there in the main room once with Joey, and there was no show going on. It was like they had the main room going on. The original room going on. We were just hanging out talking, and they have candles on all the tables, and a candle and a table next to us lit itself, just lit.
Oh.
And I go, "Did you see that?" He said, "Yeah, I saw that. Did that candle light itself?" I think it did. Let's get out of here! Cut out so much of the wall like the little rascals. Oh, school, gotta get out of here.
Well, that whole place though is Vitello's. Is what it used to be.
It used to be Ciro's, yeah, Ciro's.
Vitello's is still open.
Vitello's is still. I think that's where Robert Blake took his wife on their last date.
Right.
You know, gosh damn, why'd she have it happen, man? What happened? I didn't do it, man.
So I'm going to ask Carl about this too. But it used to be Ciro's.
It used to be Ciro's,
and they used to, when you go up in the belly room, right? There's a little window where you can look where they used to shoot people, right?
I've heard
like that.
I've heard that in the office they used to perform abortions there occasionally, and people have heard like a baby crying up there.
While the show was going on.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. And but I was on stage in the main room one night, and it was shortly after Sam Kinison died. And I mentioned Sam from stage, and all the lights went out. Everything in the main room went out, and everything was going on. And I think the club ran on one generator, but everything in the other rooms were going fine. And I thought maybe the light guy was messing with it, but he was standing in the doorway. He wasn't up in the balcony where the light thing. And the lights came back on. I go, Sam, is that you? And the lights went off again, and then they came back on again. Oh yeah, I don't know what it was, but that's what happened. So.
But I never would mess with what was down in the dungeon or back here, because they scared the shit out of me. And I'm a combat veteran. I was in Vietnam, and I was in combat. I've been shot at. And I was scared of whatever was back there and whatever was down there, and still to this day, I don't want to fuck with it. I mean, there would be stuff going on. I mean, some of the stuff was like, like what Joey said. You blow out some candles, you turn around, they're lit again. Or, the tables are all stacked over here. Or the chairs have moved around. Or the stool is, stuff like that.
I saw who I thought was Kinison. I was in the original room.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had like a 12:45 spot in the original room. It's Saturday night. This is the old days. The place is hopping. I hear a voice in the main room. There's a show going on in the main room on a Saturday night. I walk up, and it's sold out. I know Mitzi's in her chair in that booth there.
Oh, yeah, back in the day.
I didn't go in. I stayed in the hallway. But something, when I was looking at the comic, so the main room is that TV. The main room stage is that TV. I'm in the hallway. Something kept blocking the light from the belly room that was shining on the wall. So every time I would watch, something would block it. And I finally go, what the fuck is this? And I stepped back, and I looked up. And what I saw was...
What'd you see, dude?
I don't want to say this.
No, you have to.
What I saw was a guy look at me, but before I could see his face or what he had in his head, he threw a cape over. And he went into the belly room.
That was Gus, dude.
And
That
I
ain't no
said-
Sam Kinison.
And I was like, Jesus Christ. I finally saw my first ghost at the store. That's it. It's done.
So Gus wears a top hat and a cape?
Now, Princess Corey has...
Don't doubt it, dude.
Princess Corey has a
it's
story
amazing.
about getting fucked up at the store and going into the main room when it was dead. You know, when we first started there was no main room shows, comedy chaos on Tuesday.
Yeah, it was
Skylar Stone on Thursday. It was
from Friday and Saturday was open, but during every night, other night was completely
dead,
dark,
completely dark,
closed down.
Oh, Tuesday.
Oh, they had
Tuesday.
Black Night.
Black Night.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
besides that, it was completely dead.
Before Joey Diaz continues, Bobby Lee doesn't think that he's seen Kinison. He thinks he's seen Gus. Well, it could have been either. After the shit we heard about Sam Kinison so far, he's freaking black magician and all that. Probably could be him. Who knows?
Princess Corey told me a story one day. She was on the up and up. Her and I were eating like lunch or something. And she told me that's the first time she told me. She goes, oh, this place is definitely fucking haunted. And I go, what are you talking about? And she goes, one night I got really fucking hammered. And I figured I'd go into the main room and fall asleep in one of the booths. She goes, I just wanted to, she goes, I figured I'd nap for an hour, sleep it off, and wake up. She goes, I was awakened to fucking ballroom music.
Wow.
Blasting in the Comedy Store.
It's creepy.
And she said she popped her head up, and the whole main room stage was people dancing with top hats and jackets on, like just dancing. And that she got
Like
up
The
and
Shining
ran
style?
out. Yeah, and set the alarm off.
Whoa.
Cops came, the manager at the store came at the time. She was the talent coordinator at the time. This was before Freddie, I think. God rest his soul. And she goes that the cops came, they couldn't find nothing. But I have been out in that lot many a night. Again, in those days, I was on some type of drug. So I cannot... The night I was watching the main room show, I was not on drugs. I was still had a spot, so I did not do cocaine yet.
Now remember, just because he said he was on a drug, don't mean he didn't see some shit. Because drugs is pharmakia, which is witchcraft, which is sorcery. Look up the fucking etymology of the word. You are seeing spirits. You're putting them right in your fucking temple. They're there. Alright? That's even more a reason why you would see some shit.
It was me and Joey and one other guy. And I don't remember the other guy's name. But we just started talking about it, and I said, whatever's in that basement, I'm like, well, let's go down there and see it. Alright. So we go down there, and what they didn't tell you in that thing is when the thing started appearing, we weren't laughing. We were like, holy shit, what is this? And because it was just big, amorphous. It was, and you could see it. It was dark, and everything got really, really cold. Up, and you could see your breath following you. And Gainer's like this. He didn't say, "What do you want? What do you want? What do you want?" However many times he said it once. But he was going, get away. What are you? Get away. And he's got his hands up like that, and he says, feel my hands. So I go up and I touch the back part of his hand. And he goes, the palms, you idiot. So I touched the palms, and I swear to God, I couldn't hold my finger. It was like touching a hot iron. His palms were like, I don't know, 150 degrees almost. And then I'm standing there and I had my hand inside a shelf, kind of going like this. I wasn't doing like the acting thing I can't do. So I stand there, and he says, what do you want? And then something hit me on top of the head. And there's no way it could have been thrown or blown or whatever and come inside that shelf and fallen on my hand because my hand was in front of me like that without me seeing it. And it hit on top of my hand and I looked at it, picked it up, and it was a piece of cardboard with my name written on it. So I just went, you ain't getting me. So that kind of scared the shit out of me. That's why I never really liked coming back in there.
Rambunctious, foul-mouthed, and hard partying, Sam Kinison epitomized the excesses of the late 80s rock scene. But it was a stranger's mistake that brought it all down. Keep watching for the tragic details. Sam Kinison was a star who rubbed elbows with some of the hardest partying rock legends of the time, a comedy sensation who seemed destined for greatness. And then, in the blink of an eye, he was all gone. To understand the tragedy of Kinison's death, though, first you have to understand the unbelievable story of his life. Born in December of 1953, Kinison was the son of a Pentecostal preacher. Raised in East Peoria, Illinois, with his two brothers, Kinison adopted his father's trade, preaching in open-air tents in backwater towns from the age of 17. Delivering fire and brimstone sermons to his temporary congregations, Kinison honed his notorious screaming style later used to such effect in his comedy routines. According to biography, Kinison was a big fan of Richard Pryor's comedy, and coincidentally, Pryor hailed from Peoria, just across the river from where Kinison grew up. So you might say it was fate. After 6 years as a preacher, Kinison divorced his wife of 5 years and became a comedian. In 1980, he moved to Los Angeles, adopting the beret overcoat ensemble that would later become his trademark. Over the next 5 years, Kinison shrieked through the big comedy clubs of LA, picking up a very costly cocaine habit along the way. He finally got his big break in August of 1985, when he landed a spot on Rodney Dangerfield's Young Comedians TV special.
We all love him here. Let's have a nice, warm reception for Sam Kinison. Okay, here we are, Sammy. Here you are, baby. I love you.
The fuse was lit, ignition was set. There was nowhere for Kinison to go but the stratosphere. The next 7 years for Kinison would propel him to the heights of comedy megastardom. Following the success from his role as an on-the-edge teacher in Rodney Dangerfield's film Back to School, Kinison's trajectory took him from Late Night with David Letterman to his own HBO TV special, 3 comedy albums, and appearances on Saturday Night Live.
When they needed an answer for world hunger, what did I do? I said, hey, move to the food! You live in a desert, move to the food!
At the same time, Kinison became involved in LA's hard-rocking, hard-partying music scene. He rubbed shoulders with the likes of Steven Tyler, and in 1988, he put out a cover of Wild Thing by the Troggs, with a music video that received fairly heavy rotation on MTV. Kinison included music on some of his comedy albums, with covers of AC/DC's Highway to Hell and Mountain's Mississippi Queen, making appearances on his 1990 album Leader of the Band. But his party lifestyle began interfering with his career, dragging him into the depths of drug abuse and alcoholism. Even while he was performing shows that paid as much as $50,000 apiece, Kinison sometimes found his career in jeopardy thanks to his drug dependency and erratic behavior. Sometimes his performances seemed off when he was under the influence. Additionally, he found himself at odds with the studio, producing what would have been his first starring film role, the lead in the film Atuk. Reports differed, with the studio saying Kinison simply walked off set. However, the comedian maintained that the studio had halted production. By the early 90s, Kinison seemed to have hit a crossroads. Kinison reportedly began to clean up his act, cutting back on his wild behavior. He landed a guest starring spot on the hugely popular sitcom Married with Children. Kinison appeared in the series' Christmas special, and his performance was received well, reportedly leading to talks with networks to appear in his own sitcom. But it all ended suddenly on the night of April 10, 1992, while driving his Trans Am to a gig in Nevada. Kinison was hit head-on by a pickup truck that suddenly swerved into oncoming traffic. The sad irony is that after all Kinison's efforts to clean up his life, the driver that hit him was a 17-year-old who reportedly had been drinking. Kinison's wife of only a week, Malika, walked away with only a concussion. Kinison, though, died at the site. He was only 38 years old.
When I got to the car,
Sam's body was laying across the middle. And that's when I noticed that just the steering column was there. He had taken out the steering wheel with his chest, and he had hit into the windshield. So he had a little blood on his forehead, a little blood out of his nose, and he was just taking deep breaths. And I said, "Don't move, buddy, don't move." And then he forced himself out of the car and landed on me, and I fell to protect him. And I was on my butt, and he was laid across my arms, and he was looking up, and he started talking to whoever was there that he saw, and he was going, "I don't want to die. I don't want to die now." And I said, "You're not going to die, man. I got you." And then it dawned on me that he wasn't there, that he was seeing somebody. He goes, "I don't want to die now." "But why now?" "Oh. Okay. He just took off. And his eyes shut, and I felt him go right through my face. But it wasn't until someone came up and shook me and said, "How's he doing?" And then I realized that he's gone. He's gone. And after that, then time turned back into time.
Now, if this is true, then yeah, that's not no Sam Kinison's ghost at the Comedy Store. That's whatever demon was haunting him at the Comedy Store. Not haunting, but, you know, like a lot of these witches and warlocks, they got demons that they know. Like, they summon and conjure and shit. So that motherfucker is still there representing him at the Comedy Store. Or it's just playing on their minds, you know. It's just like people who remember their dreams and shit. You know, this for y'all. You know that, like, when you see a person in your dream, it might change into somebody else. That's because it ain't them. It's something that knows what the fuck you know and shit. And it shape-shifting.
I had a theory that the thing, whatever it is here, I just call it ghost for lack of anything else to call it. Whatever it is, as long as there are lots of people here, like now, whatever energy that we create, they don't like. So they just kind of don't appear or manifest. Whatever the term is. Because I think they kind of felt like that after 2:30, the place was theirs, and if we weren't out of here by 2:30, they kind of start letting us know that they wanted us to hurry along. So I think that's why. And Thursday night, for some reason, was always a strange night. I don't know.
So before we get into some real spooky shit, this is Sam Kinison's last album, which was released after his death, November 2nd, 1993. His In Living Color episode was aired 2 days after that, November 4th. Now his special is called Live from Hell. So whether he went to heaven or not, they still wanted to portray it as hell. Now check this shit out involving Richard Pryor's son, Richard Pryor Jr.
In your book, you speak about Sam Kinison.
Mm-hmm.
What was your relationship like with Sam?
Me and Sam were cool. Sam was like a person that kind of like took care of me under his wings, but he was only a drug addict that gave me drugs and all that kind of stuff and alcohol. So it wasn't a good relationship in that aspect. But it was I needed that at the time for someone who likes, I'm gonna take care of you, you know, because you're kind of out here on your own. I want to be there for you, and he was that person.
Did you guys click or speak about religion? Because he used to be a pastor.
Yeah, he did. Well, we actually did briefly, but we never went into really details because his thing was like, I want to do anything and everything is bad. That was his mindset. So, yeah.
Any and everything was bad?
Yeah.
Was he really repressed before, or?
I really don't know if he was. You know, I never discussed his past like that or anything like that. But I know he was into anything that was bad, anything that people thought was bad, he wanted to do.
Like, give me an example.
Well, like sleeping with a black dude or something.
What?
Yeah, that was one of our things.
So when you say a thing that people thought was bad, was the sleeping with a dude part bad, or the black dude bad?
Dude.
Sleeping with a dude was bad. Do you know anything about that, or?
Well, yeah, because I'm the dude. I'm the dude.
This shit is so bad in Hollywood, just all entertainment. that the greatest comedian of all time, son, is sleeping with another one of the greatest comics. But when you hear more stories and bullshit stories, because this is all entertainment, you hear about trafficking and all this other shit. Speed past that. And you hear about kids being sold off to people and shit like that. This is all entertainment.
You're the dude?
Yeah.
You and Sam?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in the book.
Was it a relationship? Or
No, it
was
wasn't
like,
a relationship. It was just a...
Slam, bam, thank you, sir.
Thank you for the coke. Thank you for this. Okay.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You gave him coke?
Oh, no. I bought coke one time to, like, share with everybody. My bag was so little, he was like, put it away.
Get that little shit out here. Oh!
Yeah. Yeah.
You and Sam Kinison.
Yeah.
It was one time though.
Yes, one time.
How much coke?
I don't know. I guess it was enough. Yeah.
Was that something he would do frequently, to your knowledge, or was it just
not
something?
to my knowledge?
It's like, hey, I want to be with a black guy.
Just like, hey, I was thinking about this and I want to do this.
And the whole story's in the book.
And the story's in the book. And I'm asking, do you have any porn magazine, any porn videos? And he's like, do you need porn? I said, yep, I do.
So you're pretty much saying he wasn't your cup of tea.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it boring or?
No, it's not that it was boring. It was Sam Kinison.
Was he really like that in real life with the ow?
No.
Was he very high strung?
No, he really wasn't, no.
Another quiet guy?
Yeah.
Wow, we're in part 2 of this Comedy Store ghost shit. And we didn't even get to the craziest part yet. This shit is amazing. This is all entertainment and bullshit, but amazing.
And one other story I'll tell you, and then I'll let you let the rest of this, whatever it is, go. There was a door I used to have to lock up, like I said, in increments, and I would have to come in here and go up. And there's a passageway. You have to walk across through there, and you have to walk like this. Not because the passageway is low, you just have to walk. So you get used to working here. Yes, indeed, yes. No, she's not dead. We all kid her, we love her. Anyway, I'd have to go up there and check, make sure no one was up, because there would be people. I found comics sleeping up there, not sleeping, but hiding in the light booth, so, when the place gets locked up, they can come down and experience the ghost. So they want you to get a job here, work in the door. Then you'll experience the ghost. You'll experience it to the point that you get sick of it. But anyway, back to the beginning, when people were, people thought I was crazy. We had this pianist who would play us on and off, because you wouldn't have understand. Pianist, if I haven't done that. He drove a car. He would walk in here. And he would sit and play us. His name was Emil Pandolfi. Great guy. Very talented pianist. I think he moved back east and made millions of dollars doing music. Anyway, getting him to play us on and off would be like getting Einstein to help your kid with his 3rd grade homework. Man, homework. Anyway, so I had to lock those doors, so I would close the one door, bolted at the top, bolted at the bottom, pull the other door closed, and lock it with a key. So I did that, bolted, shake it, make sure it's staying, close it, lock it with a key. Turned around, walked back down, turned around, it was open. So, so by the time Emil comes walking up the aisle, the hall, I went, hey Emil, come here. Stand right there, watch this. So I did it, and he's standing like, why do I have to watch you lock the door? Bolted it, closed it, locked the door. Stood in, he went, what? I went, just wait. And went, came open. He went, are you kidding me? You have to put up with that every fucking night.
there's a comic by the name of Pete. That's his real name. I don't want to say his last name. And he was in the belly room. He performed. Have you been in the green room in the belly room?
Yes.
Okay. So from the showroom to the green room, there's a little hallway you walk through.
Yep.
Right? This dude's like my height, right? If you look at the ceiling, it's pretty high. It's probably this high, the way the ceiling is. Maybe a little shorter. And Pete has a good set in the belly room, walks down the hallway, and then his head hits the ceiling.
Whoa.
He gets thrown up in the ceiling. He breaks his fucking spine.
What?
Yeah. And he's now has to go through surgery for years. In fact, he sued the store and he got some sort of compensation. That's what I've never seen this guy before after this event. Wow. But apparently, you know what I mean? I was there downstairs, but apparently people that witnessed it, right, saw him just being thrown up there like Gus. It's Gus. In fact, me and Johnny Sanchez, who's a comedian, back in 2002, maybe 2001, we were in the parking lot of the store and we saw Gus for the first time. We both saw him. We were in the parking lot. We had dropped one of my cars off to go do a gig in Bakersfield. And when we drove back, it's 4 a.m, I'm getting my car, we're saying goodbye, whatever, right? And we both look at the window up above on the parking lot, and we see a white face, a top hat, 2 hands on the window looking down on us like this, right? And Johnny and I go, ah! Like that, right? And we look at each other, we look up, and he's gone.
Whoa. Shit.
That's the first time I saw Gus.
Oh my God.
So I don't, if you notice, I don't stay in there past midnight.
You'll leave immediately.
Yeah.
Wow.
The activities after midnight.
We gotta go.
Yeah, we gotta go. Check
It's
it
crazy,
out.
man. Like even the ghosts are past at the Comedy Store. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not past.
Wow, a lot going on at that Comedy Store. No surprise that people like Kinison and all them was into Satanism. Now with all this crazy shit we covered, it's kind of hard to top that. But now let's get into the real crazy part and sum all this shit up.
Shit get crucial.
I think it's over though.
He say hungry, hungry, bacon, bacon.
And you say it's called Stranger, right?
Oh, word.
All right,
I'm
Stranger.
hungry, hungry. I need some bacon.